Are we ready? Are we going?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, cool. We are Alex.
And S.J. Herschel.
And Erica.
And today we're going to be talking about K-pop Demon Hunters.
Let's get into it.
All right. How are we doing, lady and gentleman?
Golden.
Gonna be golden?
What's that?
Then I'm looking at our audience. I'm doing great.
What's that? He was making a face.
Do we have updates before we dive into the main topic?
So you know how the world kind of blew up when Silk Song released last
That is
week?
a thing that happened, yeah.
So it was enough where I looked at the $30 sitting in my eShop account and I just bought the first one. So I started playing the first Hollow Knight
Okay.
this week. Yeah, didn't feel like I deserved to play Silk Song if I hadn't played the first one. It's been great so far. I haven't had a whole bunch of time to put into it, but yeah, it's good.
Liking it so far then?
It's a good game. Yeah.
Nice. I feel like Hollow Knight, it has like a cult following, but it wasn't the absolute internet blow up that Silk Song has been so far.
My my little sister's college professor, responded to an email request of her explaining that she was going to be out of town for a class, and she was saying how she would miss either I can't remember if it was the first hour or the last hour of it, and she was saying, sorry, I just wanted to make sure that I wouldn't miss any important content. I have this family out of town thing going on, which we don't. I was like, what are you talking about? Because she posted on her Instagram story. I'm like, when are you going out of town?
Sorry,
That's
keep
weird.
going. I gotta grab my water bottle.
And then her professor's response was, Mia, I understand that playing Silk Song is a really high priority right now, and I totally get it. You're only going to be missing this lecture that I will have posted on the classroom board.
Wow,
so,
you can tell.
Yeah,
he
he's
knows.
locked in. He was like, I understand if you want to play Silk Song through my class, and that's fair.
Get called out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that genre of video games is not for me. I already know, just because I really had a hard time getting into any 2D Metroids. Ori in the Blind Forest. I think the thing that really... It's the thing that people like about it is the thing that I don't like about it, and it's just going to come down to personal preference, which is that you've got this massive map to explore, go up and down, look at every little cranny, and sometimes it requires a lot of backtracking if you missed one little thing that you need to proceed or something, and it doesn't really handhold you through that process, which is intentional. That's how it's meant to be played, and people love it for that. But yeah, I guess not my cup of tea. But I respect it. Yeah.
Can we talk about K-pop Demon Hunters now?
Okay.
I'm ready.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Alex, you texted me today saying that you'd watched it last night for the first time. You're like, hey, should we do an episode on it? So here we are. I would love to get your first impressions.
Sure.
Fresh off the bat.
So, right, this movie being on Netflix, Liv and I haven't had Netflix for a while because we're kind of streaming service parasites where we just go off of what other people in our family have. And we had Netflix, and a couple months ago, the people that we were parasiting off just said, we don't ever watch it. So we're just going to cancel our subscription. We're like, totally get it. And so they canceled it. And at the time, there wasn't quite enough motivation to just buy our own. And then this movie blew up, and here in a couple months, there's a whole bunch of new seasons of TV that Liv's very invested in that's coming out. Like My Life with the Walter Boys just released, and she likes that. We'll have Stranger Things at the end of the year, and then Outer Banks in the early start of next year. But Liv's been very, very intrigued. Well, we both have been intrigued by this movie, and so, kind of on a whim, she was like, there's a tier of Netflix that's very, very affordable. Why don't we just get it now so we don't have to wait? And so, kind of on a whim, we just signed up. And then, last night watched it for the first time. It's been all up in my feed, right? The music's on the radio. It's very catchy. I've had it recommended to me from a couple different people at school, at work, or in other places. And so we watched it, and it was good. And so I knowing that you two had seen it and were fans of it, I just thought it'd be kind of interesting to see where it kind of lands and any comparisons that we might draw from it. So where should we start? What should we talk about first?
So, Erica, maybe you can tell us how, because you were one of the first people to discover this movie, I think, before it really, really blew up. So can you tell us your experience of having gone through that, how frustrating it was that I would never watch it because I just wasn't interested in all that stuff?
It drove me crazy. I had first seen it just like on my TikTok, on my Reels, and really the only song that I would hear was like the chorus or like one of the bridge verses to Takedown, where they're soaring. Spoiler alert, it literally happens. It's the first song in the movie in the first 5 minutes, but they're like soaring off the plane going to the concert. And I kept seeing that just all over, and at first, like, I will admit, I like saw it and I was like, the animation looks good, but it seems like it's really like, I don't know, kind of like more kid focused, just like that animation style, like the big poppy colors, the high contrast, like the very, and I saw like how the demons were animated. I'm like, okay, they kind of look a little goofy, silly, like this seems for like a younger audience. I'm just gonna keep scrolling, but then I just kept seeing it and I was like, this is pretty catchy. And I've seen nothing but good comments on this video. Like I haven't seen like a single negative thought about this, which is rare to see on TikTok about something that comes out. And I just had an evening one evening to myself, and I just watched it on Netflix, and I was immediately like, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen. The animation I thought was awesome. I thought the story was fantastic. Every single song, like the narrative, the characters, like the personalities, even like how in like the culture of like Korean media and film, they drew from Korean dramas, which I'm also a huge fan of. And there's like a whole sequence where I was just geeking out because like this is literally pulled from like any cheesy Korean drama that I have seen, and it's so true to that. And I loved like the costumes, just everything, the outfit changes. And I asked for my birthday for my siblings to watch this movie, and I asked for like 2 of my best friends, just watch this movie. That's what I want for my birthday. Just watch this movie so I can talk to you about it. And at my parents' house, we watched it. Esther was kind of not paying attention. He was like playing his little game, watched it again.
I was fighting for the Galactic Republic.
Okay, that's awesome.
Defending democracy.
Really good. It was my birthday, and you chose to do that, and that's fine. And I'm really happy that you had a good time doing that. And then we watched it a second time. I can't remember the context of it. I think it was at my family's home again. And watched it again. Loved it. We're singing along. SJ, maybe this time he was fighting Rebel Scum. I don't know. He kind of is wishy-washy, goes back and forth with which side he fights for. And then finally, and this whole time, I've watched it, I think now 4 times. I've seen this movie 4 times, and every time I'm noticing more and more things. The final time I watched it was in theaters, which, dude, I hope for your sake and anyone's sake that is listening to this that it comes out in theaters again, because it cannot be beat. Like, the layers of harmonies and the sound quality that you get in the theater. It's one of the best movie soundtracks I've ever heard in theaters in my life. Like, I've never heard music in a movie actually sound like I was in a real life concert venue. I've never seen like how or heard how crystal clear like a 5-part harmony could sound in a movie theater before this movie. And it was just incredible. And that was the time that SJ couldn't swing a lightsaber or shoot blasters or, you know, defeat rebel scum or whatever. So he had to lock in the whole time. And afterwards he goes, I'm so sorry. Like, you're right. Like, this movie is really good. And he immediately started looking for merch to buy right here. And I will keep talking. Like, one of you have to cut me off because I could just
Okay, so that's like our general take on it. We really like it, and honestly, neither of us have really seen modern movies for quite a while.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, like, we're totally burnt out on the superhero stuff. We haven't seen Superman. We haven't seen Fantastic Four.
And
We've
we're
heard
not
that Superman
into
is
horror
really
movies
good.
either.
We've heard Superman's really good, but we just haven't seen it.
It's like either superhero movies or like scary horror movies are like the two big categories in theaters
There's been
right
a
now.
lot of that we've
And
been seeing.
neither of those are really categories that we're big into.
So, like, with that in mind, this is one of the best movies, actually the best movie I've seen, the best new movie I've seen in the last probably 5 years at least. So, and we'll get into the nitty gritty, but what's your overall feel
Okay.
on it?
So I think for me, this movie is like a fascinating case study for my brain. Because I don't really have anything that I would critique or say, oh, I would do this differently. Like, the story within itself contained is good and has, some unique things that I haven't seen before. The animation looks great. The music's great. Even outside the songs that they sing, just the background score, the OST is pretty dang good. The characters are likable and not too tropey. There's some tropes in there, and I'm not a fan of tropes, but for the most part, like, it's contained in a way that wasn't annoying. And so I literally like don't have anything where I'm like, I didn't like this aspect of it, but like, it doesn't resonate with me, I think, the way that it does with everyone else.
Okay.
Where, as someone that went and saw a lot of movies while I was in California, just by virtue of being an employee of the Disney company and getting to see those movies for free, like, each of those movies I had a more visceral and emotional reaction to and appreciation for, even though I have critiques of those movies. So it's like really odd to me that like I don't have anything to complain about, and yet it just isn't changing me in the way that movies very, very easily tend to.
Yeah.
So, and I can't identify why. Like, I've thought about it all day as to why that's the case, and I can't figure it out. I wonder if it's one of those movies that, I'll have a warmer opinion on the more that I watch it or the more that I sit with it. But like, right now, I'm like, I won't seek out to watch the movie again, like, on my own for like the foreseeable future. And it's odd because I tend to really like to rewatch movies.
Yeah.
But for some reason, like, there just isn't that drive with this one. So I don't know. I literally don't know what it is. Like, on paper, this should be, one of my favorite movies that I've seen in a while. And it just isn't. And so it's confusing,
That's
but
interesting.
that's kind of where I'm at with it.
I think that's totally fine. Like, I don't think you have to necessarily find flaws in a movie to say that it just didn't quite vibe with you the same way that other movies do. And like, you're the kind of guy that you like the Disney and Pixar formula speaks to you really well. Right? And the delivery of this movie and what it's trying to say and the story that it's telling it is delivered in a much different way. So I don't know if it's something to do with that, but
I will say for like one of the laurels that this movie has that I think at least more recent, newer Disney Pixar movies that I've had a problem with, and actually with my siblings talked very extensively about, is this kind of trend that's happening with like newer Disney or like specifically Pixar movies where they take a world, they create it, but the director or the writer or the team, whatever, turns it almost into a biopic. Like Elemental, it's like, oh yeah, like I was this way, I had this experience, this is like from my story. And like Turning Red, we saw the same thing. Like, oh yeah, like I was like a Canadian Korean girl, like with a very like it's like kind of difficult but loving relationship with my own mom. And those are all, I loved both of those movies so much. But I think for some audiences, it kind of like cut them out from that experience a little bit, because it's like, well, I can appreciate this movie for what it is in the story, but I can't resonate with it because I don't personally relate to it. And I think one of the strongest hits for Demon Hunters, which maybe if you do rewatch it in the future, is that it is far more open-ended. Like anyone can relate to having things that they're ashamed of and they're hiding from. Anyone can relate to that feeling of being accepted for who you are. And I think it being delivered in this way is like a unique and very exciting way that I haven't seen movies done before, where they take a very honestly polarizing topic like K-pop. Like I feel like you either like love K-pop, have no idea what it is, or you hate K-pop. And those are kind of like the three categories. And I was kind of more in the loving, like liking K-pop, not being like not super in the know about it. Like I knew of BTS and all this stuff. And now it's like, oh, I can actually very much say that I enjoy K-pop. And I think that could be another like potential disconnect. Is not that I'm not saying that you hate K-pop or anything, but I think a lot of people that really enjoyed this movie also really are, or not necessarily, I'm not saying this is like an umbrella term for everyone that liked this movie, but I think a lot of people that like this movie really are already engaged in like Eastern Asian culture through like anime, through manga, through music, through K-dramas, through J-dramas, through J-pop. And I don't know how involved you are in that world, so it could just be a sense of like these Disney movies that you watch in California, you have that familiarity and that sense of nostalgia from them, so they can pull on those strings. But this is something that like comes from, you know, a world or background that like you're just not super familiar with, that you don't have that resonance with. There's nothing bad about that. It's like you just can't build that bridge of connection yet, maybe.
I don't. My surface response is that I don't fully agree with that perspective. Cause, well, and not. Well, I think there's some validity with what is being said. Like that hasn't been an issue in the past. I think for me, movies tend to be like there can be experiences or things shown in movies that touch me very deeply that have nothing to do with what I've experienced. And so, like, while I don't envision that being the reason that it didn't connect with me, it could be. I guess just like initially, I'm like, well, then, you know, I've got these lists of other movies that I could list where I don't have anything in common with these characters, but they still touched me in ways that didn't. But, yeah, I don't know. That's why I think it's so interesting that I don't love this movie as much as I should, or as much as I feel I should, because like my main interest in watching the movie, because if Liv comes to me and says that she wants to watch something and I don't want to watch it, I'm not afraid to say I don't want to watch that. She's been watching The Summer I Turned Pretty because the entire world is, and I have no interest. I have no engagement in it. I'm just gonna put that down. So but so like for this, it's like, oh no, like I've heard these songs on the radio. They're very catchy. I've seen, you know,
I
these.
didn't know they were on the radio.
Oh no, yeah, like
They're on like FM.
Golden's
radio.
like chart topping right now, and
I knew it was chart topping.
a couple others. You know, yeah, like they'll like play it on normal radio stations all the time.
Right on.
Yeah, especially around like the sing along weekend when it was in theaters, like it was all over the place.
Oh,
But
so cute.
but yeah, so I don't know.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
I
It's
can't
a little
grasp
puzzle.
it.
Yeah.
It's odd, but yeah.
That's okay. There doesn't have to be a logical explanation
Yeah.
to it. It is what it is. But
It's your preference.
so let me kind of quickly summarize what I think, like why I think this movie is just brilliant from top to bottom on
Okay.
so many different layers. Feel free to like interject whenever you like. And to be clear, we're not going to have any spoilers in this episode, so don't be afraid of that. Please feel free to listen to the whole episode and then go watch the movie if you haven't already. My guess is that most of the people in our audience has probably already seen it.
Or
I would guess at
Erica's
least
gonna make them see it.
Yeah, I think a
find
lot
out.
of people in our audience has already seen it. I mean, most people I know in my life have already seen it, and that's why I say that. But I think this is a movie that's packaged in a way, like there's a reason why when you first saw those reels on Instagram, you're like, oh, okay, this is catchy sounding, it's pretty looking animation. It seems like it's for like a younger demographic.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first impression as well. Also from like the first 5 minutes of the movie, I was thinking, this looks fun, but like there might be a little bit of cringe here and there kind of thing, and so I did not have high expectations at all. And maybe that's part of why I'm thinking so highly of it, is because my expectations were so low. I know one of our listeners, Jordan, for example, he heard such high praises of the movie that when he watched the movie, he really likes the soundtrack. He goes out of his way to listen to the soundtrack, like after having seen the movie. But the movie itself, he kind of felt he was a little bit underwhelmed because he was like, okay, like it's fine,
so
but
hyped.
I don't see what the crazy hype is all about. But anyway, so it's really easy for kids to digest this movie and watch it as a simple, nice story, happy ending, really easy to follow, right? I mean, when we went to the movie theater, there were a bunch of kids, and these kids know the songs by heart, and they sing along and stuff, and it's actually really cute and wholesome. But so there's that part of it, but also there is so much that the adult audience and more mature audiences can get out of it. I think a lot of the way the story was told, and a lot of the deeper themes that it conveys kind of behind the screen, I would not be surprised if it went over a lot of people's heads. Like obviously there's the whole, self-acceptance thing, but then there's also the aspect of like, and I'm not going to specify anything so that if you haven't seen the movie, it's okay, you won't be spoiled. You'll just have no idea what I'm talking about. Like, you can have families and relationships and really do your best to do what you think is best for that other person that you really love and care for, but have that be detrimental to their upbringing, or and then like having to reconcile that, right? And how do you come out on top of that? And you don't necessarily have to have a bad guy in your life for your life to be kind of ruined. It's just we're all trying to do the best that we can do with our limited perspectives and knowledge in life, and sometimes that ends up messing someone else up, but it is what it is, and they have to take that for what it is, and do their best to turn their life around and stuff. And yeah, and obviously the obvious one is like, don't be, you shouldn't be ashamed of who you are. You should be more self-acceptance, that kind of thing, right? And so I just think that the way that all of those messages were packaged is so brilliant, because kids can enjoy it, teenagers can enjoy it, they might get a little bit more out of it than kids, and then those people that criticize movies frame by frame are going to pick out so many different things. And I can't tell you how many, like, analysis reels and stuff I've seen on Instagram where it's like, oh, she's wearing this little pendant in this scene, and then this is actually one of his earrings in this scene, which represents that he's doing this and that. And when she cries in this scene, she only cries from this eye, and that's because it's represented like. And so that goes into the animation of it as well. There's so much attention to detail, and they're not afraid. So there's the attention to detail part of it that I absolutely love.
And that's on Sony.
You can tell.
That's Sony Animations. They're so good at that.
Yeah, Sony's been killing it, man. Oh my gosh. And like you can just tell from watching the movie that the people that made this, they love it. It's not a thing where the C-suite executives are, telling them to pump out this movie as quick as possible or anything like that. In fact, I think this movie took like 9 years to
they worked on
make,
this movie
right?
for, I think, at least 6 years is what I've heard. They had been working on it for 6 years, and it was originally 3 hours long. Is how much content they had, and Netflix told them to cut it in half. Which, thank you, but also I'm devastated. I would have happily watched 3 hours of it, but it's something that, like, when the writers and producers and directors like talk about, it's like this movie felt like so personal to them. It was like we like raised this movie is how it felt like to them.
And you can really tell from watching the movie. And also, I just love the animation style itself as well because it's unique. It's a pretty cool. It obviously takes a lot of inspiration from anime, and they're not really afraid to express these characters' emotions in ways that typically isn't done in 3D animated movies. And I just, especially after having complained about, and sorry, Alex, like I don't mean to be like dogging on Pixar or anything, but especially recently having complained about on the podcast how Disney or Pixar's art style is just like completely stagnant for some reason, and they just seem to have, I don't know, no creative direction in that particular part of their movie making. This is such a breath of fresh air. Yeah.
At least with character design. I think their backgrounds and stuff are still stunning, but that like corporate like mouth,
I don't know, just the Grubhub looking bean mouth situation. It's just so generic looking, but this really stands out, and this is a movie that's going to be ingrained in so many kids' childhood. They're going to be so nostalgic about it even when they grow up and stuff, and I just hope they don't make up the second movie that's in development now. But
well, that's why I bring up that it was like 3 hours long, because it's like they're already sitting on the second movie in a way, because a lot of what we didn't see that would have been included in the movie, I feel like
they can probably build on it.
A good chunk of it could be built on, and I hope it's like a prequel. I really want like more exposition, like story building stuff.
So that's kind of like why I feel so strongly about it. Like, this is the kind of movie that after having watched it, I know it's not going to be available, and I even looked it up because it's a Netflix movie. Like, if I could buy the Blu-ray for like $30-$40, like, I would do this day one just to like support them, Anyway.
Someone in Sony sold it to Netflix for $20 million flat because they truly believed that it was not going to do well. They were just like, really cares. We'll just sell the rights to Netflix for $20 million, and that guy is probably fired.
Yeah. Cost him 5 times that.
God, yeah.
It cost him $100 million to make it. So, not the best.
That much it cost them to make it? I didn't know that figure. And they only sold it for 20? Brother! And now I don't even know how much it's made.
I know it made $15 million in the box office over 2 days, so
that alone. The hard part is that Netflix released it, and then it took, compared to other Netflix movies, it took some time to get going.
Yeah, I saw the reels for like a week or two.
So like, as sad as that is, right? Mm-hmm. If this is released in theaters, does it have the same thing? Because these kids, right, go and watch this movie 10 times, and that's where the fandom is developed, and because it's so accessible, that if it's released in theaters first, like, does it have that success, or is it a fail? And then, there are other issues, but yeah, I mean, either way, You probably could have charged a little bit
Coulda
more for
charged a little
this,
bit
but
more.
I think it would have. That part of it, I think, would have just totally depended on their marketing. If kids saw this enough,
well, right, and like
ahead of
Netflix
time,
didn't
would have.
market it until
No.
people on Instagram were marketing it for them.
Yep, pretty
So-
much.
That's genuinely what happened.
Pretty
I didn't see
much.
a single thing on Netflix. I already happily digest many Korean dramas and many live
Yeah,
action.
half the time
Korean-
I'm sitting on my PC, she's over there watching.
I'm
Korean
already
stuff.
thinking about how excited I am to watch the Korean drama tonight. Like, it's gone to a really good part. But I didn't see a single, as someone who's like so in that world, I didn't see a single Netflix ad for it. Didn't see anything. Probably why my TikTok gave me those suggestions though, because little spyware that's in TikTok, the little like Russian Chinese federal agent that's watching me is like, yes, she will like this. Show her this clip 100 times. Just do it like snail video, Highland cow, demon hunters. That's kind of what
Oh my gosh, Highland cow! You
I
love Highland
love
cows.
Highland cows, or like
Yeah.
the little cat who has the Indian grandma owner that dresses her in like saris and stuff and calls her little princess, and the cat just sits there. It's not about my FYP. It's
I
about
already know
K-pop.
what you're
You already
talking.
know.
I only know what you're talking about because you show them to me.
It's so cute. A lot of cute animals.
Yeah.
A lot of funny little skits. Or the guy that sings with little figurines. It was like those and every other K-pop Demon Hunters ad, and it finally worked. And I'm so happy it did. My favorite is Zoe. Do you have a favorite? Probably Rumi.
No, I think I like Mira more than the rest of them.
Mira rules. That is so
But-
based.
Yeah, I don't know.
Thank
Again, like,
you
I just-
for my napalm era.
That line gets stuck in my head. Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to pick because I don't have the
Sure.
attachment yet. But yeah. I mean, I guess.
How did Liv like it?
I don't know. I think she really liked it. I think she was really happy. She's a sucker for the enemies to lovers conflict. So I think that on its own was enough to
Yeah.
hook her.
Yeah. That's also not a spoiler. If you watch the trailer, that's like very obvious in the trailer.
Yeah.
That's like very, very obvious.
And even then, we won't talk about what happens. Yeah, so you're good.
So good.
No, yeah. So I think she really enjoyed it, and she, whereas I tend to have opinions that people disagree with, Liv tends to have opinions that others also share, except for I Sun Return Pretty apparently, but we won't go into that.
Is she?
I don't know. I don't know what the public opinion is. I don't know what hers is. All she tells me is that no one agrees with her.
Okay, if
So,
no one agrees with
I
her,
just
that
don't know.
means that she is not with public opinion. I don't watch the show. I only consume it again through TikTok clips, and even I know that if you are team Jeremiah. See, I don't even know his name, but I know he's the bad one. I know he's
Yeah, I
that.
don't know.
It's all about Conrad, even though I don't think either of them are very attractive.
What did you guys think of Cape? Or sorry, is there anything else that we wanted to share before we wrapped up? here?
Honestly, I thought about going into more specific things, but I just I don't
You don't. Want
I want people to just experience this. So I think
Sure.
this is
Yeah.
a fair place to leave it at.
I do want to say one thing. If you're wondering, why is it K-pop? Why is it singing? Like, what kind of connection could there possibly be? Just if you go into any like reel about like Korean culture, like shamanism or history, it is so cool how accurate they are with depicting like those traditions and those cultural values and having it perfectly streamlined in this movie. I think it's just, even if you're like a history culture nerd into that stuff, like you will see that and appreciate that in this movie as well. That's the last thing I really wanted to say is that, oh, they do such a good job with that.
Also, one more thing I want to say, a lot of the values portrayed in this movie really like resonated a lot with like a lot of my Christian values and beliefs and things as well. So it was like I just wasn't expecting something like that from a K-pop, demon hunting movie. And I've talked about this to great lengths with one of my friends, Zach. He's been on the podcast a couple times before. And he was as surprised as I was because we went to see the movie together.
It was his First time seeing it. He's so lucky. He saw it for the first time in theaters.
The main
Oh,
reason why we
so good.
ended up watching it to begin with was because Zach reached out to me and I was like, hey, I know Erica loves K-pop Demon Hunters. They're doing this like weekend showing. I could never justify going to see a movie like this by myself and embarrass myself in a movie theater.
I
and
would have
sing
gone by
along.
myself. I would have gone by
But
myself.
if you guys are going, like, I'd love to tag along. And then so we ended up going together. And then also one of Erica's siblings came with us as well. But then like we were like leaving the movie theater and talking about it, and he's all like teary eyed and like he had this whole like existential experience. Like anyway, it's like
That must be nice.
it's hard.
Gone now.
It's hard because
It's
like
fine.
I don't
Fine.
wanna put like the highest level of expectation for our audience if you haven't seen this movie and then have you watch it and be disappointed,
Yeah.
right? But
Because it really comes down to your personal preferences and
Yeah,
like what
but-
you want to get out of a movie.
but what I want to say is that like if you do expect a lot out of it and you really pay attention to how the story is told, how things are animated and stuff, like it's surprisingly deep is what I want to say. So give it a chance. It's a really good movie. You know, if you think it's fine and it didn't quite resonate with you the same way, like, you know, how Alex feels about it, that's totally cool too. We're all about differing opinions. That's the whole reason why we started this podcast. So
Yeah.
Who's your favorite?
Rumi, honestly, but I think I do really like Zoe because I think Zoe is the most like you, like her personality is like closest to you, so I kind of like, you know, I have that as well. But I but mostly Rumi because like we don't get a whole lot of background on the other two. Which I imagine were some of the things that were cut from the movie.
Yes.
So, but anyway, go check it out. Yeah, any closing remarks, Alex, while I pull this up here?
No, I don't think so. Thank you to everyone who's watched this. Thank you to Erica for joining us today. We'd like to remind you that our Discord community exists. So if you have any questions you'd like us to answer, or say the movie didn't resonate with you and you want to DM me directly, or it really resonated with you and you want to DM these guys, absolutely feel free to do that via Discord.
Talk to me about it.
And I will pass it over to SJ to thank our Patreon supporters.
Yeah, and if you'd like to support us on Patreon, we have a lot of fun episodes on there. A lot of goofy stuff. And then some behind the scenes things as well. It's a lot of fun. Go check it out if you'd like to support us in a different way. Big thanks to our current supporters. We have our Down to Earth Cockatiels, including Joshua, Matthew, and Tyler. And then big thanks to our Down to Earth Parakeets, including Jay Maurer, Nicholas, and Noah. So thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
See you then.
Bye bye. Fit check for my napalm era.